I thought Caitlin's playmaking ability, really kind of got us going. We got into a nice rhythm in that second quarter and scored a lot of points. We've talked about this with our players. Like, the starting lineup's going to change, the rotations are going to change. As a coach, I'm still in fact-finding mode, not in terms of who they are. I know who they are as players, but trying to find some chemistry and see what combinations fit best together.
5 world records, 17 points, and 12 assists. 38 total points accounted for, all of it in 19 minutes, off the bench. That is what Caitlin Clark delivered in her first competitive basketball game in 239 days. And the head coach of Team USA walked into the post-game press conference, stood in front of the international media, and told the assembled world exactly what her own starting lineup could not do. Here is the detail that changes everything. Kara Lawson did not just praise Clark's performance, she specifically admitted her team only found its offensive rhythm once Clark stepped on the floor. She did not use the word mistake. She reached for fact-finding mode. But the translation is unavoidable. Her opening 5, the veterans chosen to set the hierarchy, could not generate what Clark produced the moment she touched the ball. If you have been watching this situation unfold and something about that benching decision felt wrong to you, you were right. Hit that like button and stay locked in. Because the press conference that followed that game just opened a window onto the biggest power struggle in women's basketball right now. And almost no one is connecting all of the dots. Lawson's lineup announcement came roughly 2 hours before tip-off against Senegal on March 11th in San Juan, Puerto Rico. Clark, the all-time NCAA scoring leader, a 2-time WNBA All-Star, and the player this entire qualifying tournament was built around, was not in it. Neither was Kelsey Plum, neither was Paige Buchers, neither was Rhyne Howard. 4 of the most dangerous offensive weapons on the entire roster were collectively parked on the bench for the opening minutes of an internationally televised game that TNT Sports purchased broadcast rights for specifically because of Clark. International audiences had tuned in. Social media had been building for 24 hours. The coach's first decision was to keep her off the floor. The official reasoning centered on experience and seniority. Chelsea Gray had won WNBA championships. She had performed on international stages before. Clark was new to the senior program and needed to come in off the bench, earn her role, and prove she could fit within the existing system. On paper, that structure sounds reasonable. It collapses the moment you hold it against who Clark actually is. She is not a developmental prospect working her way up the depth chart. She is the singular reason women's basketball viewership reached levels the sport had never come close to touching before. She is the player this tournament was scheduled around. The 239 days of layoff matter here too. Clark last played competitive basketball on July 15, 2025, when a groin strain ended her sophomore WNBA season after just 13 games. She missed All-Star Weekend in her own home city of Indianapolis. She missed the Indiana Fever's playoff run entirely. She spent months rebuilding in silence, rehabbing, regaining strength, waiting. When she arrived in Puerto Rico, she was measured and professional in every public-facing moment, carefully managing expectations and acknowledging the rust that comes with a layoff that long. But anyone who has watched her compete knows that underneath the composure, that hunger does not dim. It compounds. She checked in at the 5-minute and 27-second mark of the first quarter. Team USA was already handling Senegal comfortably, but the offense had that slow, mechanical quality that surfaces when no genuinely creative orchestrator is running the attack. Then Clark touched the ball for the first time and ran a pick and roll with Monique Billings, delivering a perfectly weighted pocket pass that hit Billings in stride for an easy 2 points. It was not a logo 3. It was not a highlight reel moment designed for the clip package. It was an elite basketball intelligence read, the kind of pass that only players with extraordinary court vision execute at that angle and that speed. 3 minutes after checking in, Clark had 4 assists and had not yet attempted a single shot. She was simply reading the defense, locating the open player, and manufacturing clean scoring opportunities at a pace that made the entire Team USA offense look like a completely different organism. Then came the shooting. 4 3-pointers made on 5 attempts, all deep, most of them off the bounce or in transition. Her mechanics were clean, her footwork was sharp, her legs were fully underneath her in a way they clearly had not been during the pain-managed fragments of her 2025 WNBA season. For anyone who had worried the injuries had taken something from her, this performance was the answer. Nothing was taken. If anything, she came.
And as much as she is dynamic as a scorer, she's one of the most dynamic playmakers in the world as well. And so we just talked about her utilizing all the talent. It's the most talented team she's played on. So imagine being a dynamic playmaker, and then all of a sudden you're playing alongside all these other dynamic playmakers and finishers. And so I thought she toggled between, the playmaking and the scoring really well tonight, and looked pretty comfortable out there. So I was proud.
Final line, 17 points, 12 assists, 19 minutes of court time. She personally accounted for 38 total points, either scoring them directly or assisting the basket that produced them. Senegal's entire team scored 46. Clark alone, in less than half of a 40-minute game, was worth nearly as much as the entire opposition roster. Team USA won 110-46, a 64-point blowout. But the numbers that will be referenced for years are the 5 she left inside the record books. Drop a comment right now. Do you think Lawson benched Clark to protect the veteran hierarchy one last time before the structure changed permanently? Because what happened at that press conference is about to make that question much harder to sidestep. 5 separate FIBA World Cup qualifier records shattered. Her 12-assist single-game total was the second highest in the entire history of Women's World Cup qualifying competition, a format that has been running for decades. She set up 7 different teammates. Every player who shared the floor with her saw their shot selection improve because defenders were collapsing on Clark before the ball even left her hands, terrified of what she would do with a clean pocket. The criticism hurled at her throughout her WNBA career that she would not fit alongside elite talent, that her ball dominance would shrink teammates' production, disintegrated in real time on an international broadcast. Clark does not need inferior teammates to generate these numbers. She needs teammates skilled enough to catch and convert the passes she is already capable of making. Give her Ryan Howard and Kelsey Plum on the floor simultaneously, and she does not just look good. She makes both of them look like a different level of player entirely. If this kind of analysis, the kind that goes past the box score and traces the actual power dynamics underneath, is the reason you keep showing up, consider hitting that join button below. Every member makes it possible to keep going this deep. When Lawson sat down in front of the international media after the game, every reporter in that room already knew what they had witnessed. She is an intelligent, composed coach. She does not ramble. But the first question about her substitution decisions put her in a position with no clean exit. She credited Clark's playmaking with getting the team going. She said they found their rhythm in the second quarter and scored a lot of points. Read that carefully. The head coach of Team USA, speaking to the global media, confirmed that her offense was not functioning at an elite level until the player she chose not to start was running it. She did not say mistake. She deployed fact-finding mode, the corporate buffer that every executive reaches for when their initial plan fails publicly. She said the starting lineup and rotations would change. And then a sharp reporter asked her a precise question that eliminated all escape routes. Which combinations did you actually like today? She could not fabricate a diplomatic non-answer. She named the second quarter unit Clark, Kelsey Plum, Kiki Iriafen, Monique Billings, and Ryan Howard. Chelsea Gray was not in that group. None of the veteran opening 5 made that list when Lawson was asked us directly to identify what actually worked. That is not a subtle distinction. That is the entire story. That unit is built entirely around pace, elite spacing, off-the-bounce shooting, and relentless transition offense. Every player in it can read and react at high processing speed. Every player in it is designed to maximize what Clark produces when she is operating as the floor general. The veteran lineup Lawson chose to open the game, the one structured to protect seniority, was not the unit the coach named when asked under pressure. She implicitly confirmed it was not her best option the moment she walked into that room. Here is where this moves beyond a coaching decision. One day before the Senegal game, on March 10, 2026, the WNBA's self-imposed deadline for a new collective bargaining agreement passed without a deal. The 2026 season is now hanging by a thread. Veterans at the center of that labor negotiation in Manhattan believe they hold the leverage. They believe a season without players is an unthinkable outcome for ownership groups who have invested heavily in broadcast deals and expansion infrastructure. They believe collective action is their strongest card. USA Basketball just showed the entire sports world on international television exactly who the irreplaceable asset in this sport actually is. It is not the collective. It is not the veteran class as a group. It is one player, who in her first competitive action in 239 days accounted for 38 points, broke 5 world records, and made a full starting lineup of decorated professionals look like a placeholder. TNT Sports did not write that broadcast check to watch Chelsea Gray run a half-court offense. The viewers who opened their apps and turned on their televisions were there for one reason, and she was sitting on the bench for the opening 5 minutes. The leverage calculation at that negotiating table just shifted. Whether anyone in that room admits it is irrelevant. The market has already ruled. Kara Lawson now sits with one of the most uncomfortable decisions in recent women's basketball coaching history. Start Clark from the opening tip, and she restructures the entire hierarchy in front of an international audience. Keep the veteran lineup intact, and every slow first quarter becomes ammunition. The media already has permission to fire. She has essentially already made the announcement. The rotations are going to change. She said it herself. The only question left is whether the people running this sport can accelerate fast enough to stop getting in the way of where it is already going, or whether greatness is simply going to move on without waiting for permission. Subscribe and turn on notifications right now. The next game in this qualifier could be the moment everything we just broke down either accelerates or detonates. Do not miss it.